Hello everyone. I'm going to talk about the strings today. Data and variables have three types in Python: strings, numbers, and booleans. In this session, I'm going to talk about strings. To start a project, I press File, New File, and you see a new area to write code is opened here. So I asked Python to print out a string for me. To make this command, I type here print and put it in the parentheses, and I put a double quotation here. Whatever comes in the quotation, comes between the quotation, is called a string. Let's here, I ask Python to print out for me string is a sequence of character data. To run the code, I press this green button, and you see the string exactly is print out here in the console area. What if I want to print out some things, some sentence or a phrase in next line? I need to add backslash n and space, and then I add whatever I want. For example, let's say I say or exact quotation. Then I run the code. And you see the phrase after backslash n comes on the next line. If I want to print out backslash, I need to put double backslash here. You see the backslash is print out. So now let I introduce you some function to work with strings. Uh, Strings can be variables as well. So let's say my variable name is my academy, and I put it on data laces underline strategy, and on next line I ask Python to print out my academy. Before I execute the code, I ask something else from Python. Okay, uh, basically there are specific index attributed to each letter here. Let's say, okay, index 0 and index, let's say, index 9. I ask Python to print out these indices for me. So I run the code, and what I get is that the variable name as my underline academy is print out here, and index 0 is D, and index 9 in this variable is underline. Okay, I introduce some other functions that are very useful to work with Python, to work with strings. Upper. And before I run this, another function is lower. They basically make the letters to uppercase and lowercase. Let's run the code, and you see the first one, all capital letters, and the second one, all small letters. Another useful function to work with strings is my academy is index. Let's say index. Unlike the previous two functions, we need to put an argument in the parentheses. Let's say I would add underline. And before I execute this one, I introduce another function, my academy dot replace function. Basically, you can replace some section of the variable with something else. Let's say here strategy. I replace the strategy with something else. Let's say education here. Okay, and then I run the code. You see here underline the index number is 9 here, and in the last function or code you see the education has been replaced, the strategy has been replaced by education. Okay, thank you for your attention. I finished with strings. For next session I'm going to talk about numbers in Python.